Mr. Arbor, further questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. So, Officer Smith, where we left off was, I wasn't trying to suggest that you were picked specifically from a group. We went through, you were the guy that was picked, and there was good reasons to pick you to be in the car. When you say you were observing and you know the significance of this event, you're not just an observer, you're an active observer, correct? By that I mean you're not questioning, because there's rules about that. You gotta be careful about what you do. You don't want to elicit a statement that might be in violation of Mr. Broyhill's constitutional rights, correct?
Given the fact that the way he was brought out of the house, I knew that meant he was detained, and a reasonable person would believe he was under arrest, so I knew he needed to be Mirandized before speaking with him.
Right.
So that's why I chose never to speak with him.
Right, and the jury's clear. Once a person's in custody, had you elicited some information from him by asking questions without first advising him of his rights, some of those statements he might have made might not have been usable in a court of law, correct?
I knew if he was not read his Miranda rights, which he had not been at that time, that I would not be allowed to question him because it would be inadmissible. So that's why I made the decision that I was not going to ask him any questions.
Exactly. But that's why I say when an active participant, active observer, you are observing, but you're also still in the role of a police officer, making sure, as you said yesterday, because he's not secure, that he doesn't do something, right?
Yes, sir.
And also, watch and see if he says anything, right?
At that time, my main purpose, obviously I'm going to observe anything that he says I'm going to note. But my main priority at that time was to keep him in custody, to ensure that the driver as well as the EMS worker were safe, because we could not leave them. They have no security measures. Essentially we become their security if somebody is under arrest.
Yeah, they're not armed.
No, sir, they're not.
Right. You testified yesterday, and in an interview that you did on you remember doing an interview on January 30th of 2014?
I was called for a couple interviews to the DA's office, yes, sir.
You recall saying that while in the ambulance, the EMS guy started asking Mr. Broyhill questions, and Mr. Broyhill responded with, he didn't want to live, and that he was on the verge of crying the whole time.
He did cry. There was weeping. I don't remember it being the entire time. I remember off the top of he was upset. He was calm, but anytime he would be questioned, there would be emotion to his responses.
Does that sound like something, though, that you might have said in that interview?
Yes, that sounds correct.
You did a later interview then again just this past December at the district attorney's office, also in preparation of this trial, correct?
Yes, I did a couple interviews with the DA's office. I don't know the exact dates.
Okay. But you do recall doing a couple of interviews, and at the second interview, the more recent one, you also recall saying that while in the ambulance, Mr. Broyhill started crying.
He was weeping, crying. I used them similar, yes. He was crying, yes.
You recall in your interviews and in your statements that you've done in this case saying that while on the ride to the WakeMed, Mr. Broyhill was asked, and the word I think you used, in your supplement that you wrote the day after. I'm going to get back to that. That the EMS staff on the hospital ride to WakeMed asked Mr. Broyhill numerous questions about how he obtained his injuries. You remember putting that in your supplement?
Yes, they asked him numerous questions.
And his response was always, well, first of all, was that he had cut himself, correct?
I do believe that off the top of my head right now, I do remember writing that. To my knowledge, he did tell them that he had harmed himself, yes, sir.
Because he no longer wanted to live.
He did tell them that he wanted to die, yes. He did mention to EMS that he no longer wanted to live, he wanted to die. It was around those words, yes, sir.
And that he had cut himself with a large butcher knife.
At this time, I can't recall exactly what he said.
Let me correct that. A large kitchen knife. Would it refresh your recollection to look at? Did you review your supplement prior to testifying here today?
I have reviewed my supplement, yes.
Let me pull up 133. Let me show you what I've just marked as Defendant's Exhibit 8 for identification, and ask you if that looks like part of the supplement that you wrote with respect to this case on April 23rd of 2013.
Yes, sir, it does.
And I ask you to look at the second to last paragraph of your supplement, and take a moment, read it to yourself, and I'll ask you if that refreshes your recollection about some of the questions I'm asking.
Yes, this is my supplement, and I'm done reading it.
Okay. Do you remember then writing in your supplement that while writing, the EMS staff asked Mr. Broyhill numerous questions about how he obtained his injuries?
Yeah, they asked him questions about, to my knowledge, medical purposes about how he obtained his injuries, yes.
And he advised the staff that he had cut himself because he no longer wanted to live.
Yes, sir. He told him that he wanted to die and that he no longer wanted to live.
That he cut himself with a large kitchen knife.
I documented in my report that he did state that he had cut himself with a large kitchen knife.
The only time you spoke with Mr. Broyhill was to get his name, date of birth, address, and phone number.
Yes, sir.
Which you wrote down on the little scrap paper thing.
Yes, sir.
And that sort of gets a little bit to the thing I was saying about old school. You didn't have your computer with you. You're riding in the ambulance, right?
Yes, sir.
And you had other duties after you arrived at the hospital. So there wasn't time to go running back to the police cruiser to start drafting out a report on this.
No, there was not.
You had to go right from the ambulance to the surgical room.
Yes, sir.
And from the surgical room, I think you said, correct me if I'm wrong, you were the first officer to stay with him when he was, Mr. Broyhill, when he was admitted into the hospital as a patient.
I stayed with him EMS. I stayed with him when they took him to the ER. I stayed with him. I had to go into the initial surgery room and get, I guess, the clean room, where I won't bring germs into the surgical room. I was with him during that whole process.
It was only after you did all that you were able to draft your report, because you didn't have the luxury of having the police cruiser or your laptop nearby to prepare a report until you were done doing stuff. Is that fair?
Yes, we got off late. I started my shift at 7 in the morning. I think even by the time we cleared the hospital, it might have been 7, 8. I was already off late before we even cleared the hospital.
You've gone well into the next day.
Yes, I'm already in overtime. Yes, I'm already
and
been longer than 12 hours.
I was going to say, I think you said you started like at 7 o'clock that morning on the 22nd, right?
Yes, sir.
So you've been going at this for 24 hours.
Well, at this point, it's probably about 8. My best guess was about 8 when I was relieved. So by the time I got to my police car, it'd be 8:30, 9 o'clock. Approximately, it'd be around 8 to 8:30. So
night or the next morning?
Night. This has only been, I'm on my 13th or 14th hour here.
Okay. So 8:30 of the evening.
Yes, sir.
There does come a point then when you draft this report the next day.
Officer Hervey, as well as me, had additional work to do. Yes, and the supplement that I wrote was the following day.
One of the things that you testified to yesterday, one of the things that you put into your police report, that when Mr. Broyhill exited the house, he exited with the phrase that was used was self-inflicted wounds, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you are an experienced police officer. Have you ever intervened in your experience as a police officer with suicide attempts?
I have.
You have seen people that have tried to take their lives by slitting their wrists, or have you?
I would. Yeah, I would. That's a fair assumption. Yes.
You've also gotten some training about that. That the people that slit their wrists vertically make a more legitimate attempt at doing it because it's hard to repair that wrist, isn't it?
I mean, we've been. I've taken numerous of suicide attempts. I've seen people attempt to commit suicide both ways.
Some people cut it across. Right?
I've heard. I've never been told by a doctor which one's more effective. I know I've seen numerous that are across, horizontal versus vertical. I've seen them both ways.
When they go down vertically, as you saw, particularly with being as open and all the things you described, grotesque, fillet, whatever, this was a very damaged wrist, both sides, correct?
They were.
So that would have been perhaps an indicator for you that this had been a suicide attempt, correct?
At some point, it was my belief that he attempted to commit suicide.
But until he indicated in the car that he had cut himself and inflicted these wounds upon himself, up until that point, you wouldn't have known for sure. Isn't that fair?
Given the location of the wounds, I was under the assumption that he had done them to himself.
It looked like a suicide attempt.
It did.
Not necessarily the one, though, to the stomach where his intestines were coming out, correct?
I don't know where that. I don't know how that could have occurred.
But they were described as self-inflicted wounds, correct?
It was based on what I was seeing. It appeared to be self-inflicted. Yes, sir.
Report the 23rd of April with all the information that you had available to you, your little note, your recollection, talking with Officer Hervey. You draft this report because you know that's something that you have to do and it's going to be required of you from your superior officers and for your own purposes that we've discussed at length, correct?
Yes, sir.
At no point did you indicate in your report that Mr. Broyhill made any mention regarding the attack on Ms. Hahn or Mr. Hahn. Isn't that correct?
He never made any mention of attacking Mrs. Hahn.
He didn't even. The only thing he ever talked about is wanting to take his own life.
He made statements to emergency medical services stating that he wanted to die and wanted to take his own life. Yes.
In response to numerous questions about why and how this happened, correct?
Yes.
There came a point about a month after this event occurred on May 24th where you were reached out to by Detective Zeke Morse, correct?
Yes, sir.
Detective Morse is the detective who's been seated in the trial, seated behind Mr. Fawcett throughout the trial, right?
Yes, sir, with the bow tie, yes, sir.
You know him as, well, unfortunately the bow tie doesn't give us a clear designation of which of the two, but we know which one you're talking about.
Yes, the
one in the back.
The one in the back, the second guy.
The better looking one.
The second, yes, sir.
Sorry. Detective Morse came and talked to you on May 24th. Well, there came a point where he came and talked to you.
I believe it was a phone call. I knew Mr. Morris was a police officer. I don't think we formally met until recently.
This also is the protocol, not uncommon, particularly in a homicide, right? Well, let me clarify. What I mean is, when you have a crime, particularly a serious crime, and we certainly would classify a homicide, this one in particular, as a serious crime, correct?
Yes, sir.
Detectives are assigned to the case, who are asked to come in, and they're sort of asked to investigate the whole thing, right?
They get into more detail than I would get into at the scene. Yes, sir.
Well, like you said, your responsibilities were predominantly over at 1705 Tealwood. There was a whole lot of other stuff going on that day in that area, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
The detectives come in, and sometimes there's somebody assigned to sort of like group it all together and put the case together, correct?
Yes, sir.
But in doing that, they have to talk to the people, particularly the first responders like yourself.
Yes, sir.
You were the one with Mr. Broyhill on the day of his ride in the ambulance to WakeMed. You were the one who was with him at the hospital. You were the one who ordered him out of the house, gave him directions to back out of the house. You were the one that I think did the first guard duty on him, right?
Yes, sir.
You remember being contacted by Detective Morse and being asked if Mr. Broyhill made any statements to you about planning to kill Ms. Hahn for a long time.
I informed Mr. Morris that I did not hear those statements.
You responded to him that you never heard Mr. Broyhill make any statement, any type of statement regarding Ms. Hahn. Isn't that correct?
Yes, I did not hear anything about Mrs. Hahn from Mr. Broyhill.
And you made a supplement, and after that conversation, you went the extra step of writing a supplement on May 24th, noting the fact that you had that conversation and that you told Detective Morse you never heard Mr. Broyhill make any statement regarding Ms. Hahn. Isn't that correct?
I did. I don't know if I believe I did it that day. At most, I would have done it the following day. But yes, I wrote a supplement stating about our telephone conversation.
Recognizing that, you do lots of cases, keep all this stuff as best you can, record it as best you can so as not to make mistakes. You're a police officer, you have some experience, you've testified before today.
Yeah,
right?
numerous times, yes, sir. Not in Superior Court, but I've testified.
Can still make mistakes. I don't even know if you were aware of it. You were talking about Mr. Broyhill yesterday. You made reference to him as Mr. Hahn. I don't know if do you remember that?
I recognize that, and I apologize for doing that.
That's okay. We all knew what you were talking about. But the point is, the reports you generate to accentuate what's important, the one you drafted, the thing you said with respect to the things that Mr. Broyhill was saying on the day that this was happening was he didn't want to live. Isn't that correct?
The only conversations, the only thing I ever heard from Mr. Broyhill dealing with anything of the case that day was that he did not want to live.
If I could have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Much for answering my questions. I have no other questions for you at this time.
Mr. Fawcett, redirect.
None for the state, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Do I leave these here, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. If you'll just leave the exhibits there, sir. Further evidence for the state?
Yes, Your Honor. The state recalls Stacy Johnson, Agent Stacy Johnson, to the stand.
We have no problem. Give the jury a break for me. This is going to be Ms. Elliott's witness. Some judges require the attorneys to...
I don't require it, but it may be easier for her to see.
Can she stay put?
Yeah,
She thinks it's closer to the mic and all her stuff.
That's fine with me.
Thank you.
Ma'am, if you would, please stand, place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
right, Mr. Fawcett.
Thank you. State your name for the court, please.
My name is Stacy Johnson.
Where do you work?
I'm an agent with CCBI, which is the City County Bureau of Identification.
How long have you been employed by the City County Bureau of Identification?
Since May of 2011.
Any prior law enforcement experience?
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
I worked as a crime scene investigator with the Durham Police Department for approximately 2.5 years prior to coming to CCBI.
Tell us, if you will, just about your education and about your training as a crime scene investigator.
I attended Jacksonville State University, located in Jacksonville, Alabama. I graduated in 2006 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice, Forensic Investigations, and a minor in Biology. During that time, I also completed an internship with the Gadsden Police Department's Crime Scene Unit. After my internship was done, I also continued to volunteer there for some time. I graduated in 2008 with my Master of Science degree in Criminal Justice from Jacksonville State University. Again, during my graduate work, I completed another internship with the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences. I was assigned to a lab that was responsible for crime scene investigation and drug chemistry. After my internship was over, I continued to volunteer for a short period of time. After beginning my career with the Durham Police Department, and since then, I have attended various coursework and trainings related to forensic disciplines, and that includes fingerprint comparison and classification, forensic photography, shooting reconstruction, bloodstain pattern analysis, buried bodies and scattered remains investigations, fingerprint chemical processing, and other specialized death investigation courses, including suicide, homicide, child death, and aquatic-related death investigations.
All right. Agent Johnson, let me ask you, what are the responsibilities of a crime scene investigator or agent?
As an agent, I am essentially a crime scene investigator. We respond to all the crime scenes that are requested by agencies within Wake County's borders. We analyze and assess crime scenes. We document them, and that can include taking notes, taking photographs, doing a video, and completing sketches. We also search for and collect physical evidence. We also can process a scene in some of those forensic disciplines that I had mentioned, whether it be shooting reconstruction, bloodstain pattern analysis, and processing the scene for fingerprints. We also generate reports, attend autopsies, and testify in court.
All right. Agent Johnson, let me direct you to Monday evening, April 22nd, 2013. Were you, in fact, dispatched to the Tillwood location?
Yes.
What time did you arrive?
I got there at 19:01 hours.
All right, tell us what that is, please.
7:01 p.m.
All right. And when were you made aware that you needed to respond to this neighborhood location?
The Raleigh Dispatch Communications had requested us about 6:20 p.m.
Okay. When you got to the Tillbriar location, tell us about what generally the scene looked like and what you did first, please.
There was an indoor and an outdoor scene, and as the indoor scene was going to require a search warrant, I then proceeded to start with processing the outdoor scene. It included Tealbriar Drive and Rainwater Drive, an intersection there, and homes that were on each side of that intersection. The home that I was going to be waiting for the search warrant for was 1705 Tealwood Place, and so I began examining the outside of the front of that house, of which I found a trail of red blood-like stains. I followed one trail. What direction is that? Westward from 1705, around towards 6700 Rainwater Road, around the yard and side yard of that address, and then across Rainwater Road to 6641, trail of red blood-like stains that appeared to come more so down the middle of Tealwood Place across Rainwater and over to Teal Briar Drive, and ended up in that same general area of the yard of 6641 Teal Briar Drive.
If I could direct you, if I could publish on our state exhibit 16.
Yes, sir.
It's been referred to as the neighborhood diagram schematic. What you just described for us, you're processing the outside of the neighborhood, the outside scene, so to speak.
Yes, I had not stepped foot on the property at that point.
Okay. And just generally, if you could just tell us exactly, point out for us what you just explained to us about this red bloodstained like trails you were looking at.
Can I stand up and show?
Yes, please, feel free to stand up.
Thank you. The first trail that I was referring to started at the end of the driveway. I followed it around some landscaping and up there towards a side-facing door of this house into the grass. Then around this, again, landscaping, tall grass, trees, shrubbery, etc. Around and down in front of this particular home. There was a sidewalk. There was some additional red blood-like stains on the sidewalk. Stains continued to cross Rainwater Road, and then up into this portion of the side yard of, I believe this is 6641, around the Harrell's house and into the front yard near their cobblestone walk-up by the porch.
At some point, were photographs and video taken of the neighborhood, the Tillwood Place, the Till Briar, what you just described?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do personally as far as photography?
I took all the photographs taken at the scene. My supervisor, Agent Hill, was on scene, and he assisted with taking the video and providing 360-degree camera photographs.
And at some point, did a search warrant arrive for the 1705 Tillwood Place, references the Hahn residence?
It did.
Tell us just generally what you did. I want to bring this video to your attention, and then we'll circle back. Just generally, once the search warrant arrived, what did you do in reference to the 1705 Tillwood Place, the Hahn residence?
Once the search warrant has been executed at the residence, I then conducted a walkthrough of the scene to get a general idea of areas of interest that I may want to photograph, videotape, otherwise document, and look for potential physical evidence that may be important later. Then we begin photographing the scene as we find it. Again, general overall photographs. We also do a video of the scene as we find it. I believe we also took 360-degree camera photographs, and we began sketching the scene.
At some point, do you start, or do you personally place evidence placards and flags and maybe little lights out documenting areas of interest you identify?
I do.
Inside and outside the Hahn residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when is that in relation to the video we're going to see here shortly, I expect?
If I recall correctly, I had placed, in reference to the outside scene, yellow electrical flags that you see near power lines, in the ground, near ditches. Also, yellow arrows, fluorescent yellow arrows, and also some tea lights that light up in order just to be able to visualize the stains on the ground from a distance. And then inside the home and also outside as well, I did put down some yellow number placards, which are just just a digit on there, and it's used to depict the location of an item of evidence.
Yes, sir.
identification purposes, do you recognize what State's Exhibit 26 is?
I do.
What is State's Exhibit 26?
It is a copy of a DVD, or a DVD copy of the video that was taken at the crime scene that evening.
Okay. And who took the video?
My supervisor, Agent Hill.
Okay. Have you had a previous opportunity to view the video that Agent Hill took?
I have.
Okay. And does State's Exhibit 26 fairly and accurately depict the scene as it's being filmed that evening, Monday, as you've described?
It does.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the State would offer into evidence State's Exhibit 26.
Any objection?
No objection.
It's allowed for illustrative purposes.
Thank you. At this time, the State would ask to publish State's Exhibit 26,
Yes, sir.
playing it on the TV screen.
Yes, sir.
And at the same time, if during the publishing of it, if Agent Johnson could narrate items of interest in the video.
Yes, ma'am. If you want to stand beside the video, if that's easier, that's fine for
Okay.
the monitor.
Thank you.
Would the light help better if we dim the lights? Yeah, my expectation is this is about a 14-minute video.
What I was told was Mr. Broyhill's vehicle parked on the street in front of the house.
Is this looking down into the cul-de-sac of Tillwood Place?
Yes. Dark was approaching at this time of day, so this bright light is just a flashlight trying to help the camera focus on. Yeah, sorry. The bright light is a flashlight that is being used to assist to help the video camera focus in the dark lighting. Right there, it's knocked over. It was a windy evening as well. That is a yellow placard that I had placed down. That's placard number 1. That was used to depict a red floodlight stain on the edge of the driveway.
How about in the street here? Are we seeing anything that you put down as it goes by?
These are very difficult to see, but there are yellow arrows, those fluorescent yellow arrows that I've put down. It's going to continue up into this yard. There is a yellow flag that I've marked in the yard itself. Beyond, on the front side of the yard, you can also see some other yellow flags that I've placed down. the street itself, these lighting, lit up T lights are used to depict that second trail that I had mentioned before. Continues across the intersection around to that portion of the street. Near the middle of the intersection, I placed placard number 4 down, again to depict a red blood light stain. This is the exterior and the rear of Mr. Broyhill's vehicle. This is standing in the intersection of the two streets. This is the house on the corner. We're going to be looking down towards, I believe, Tealbriar, towards where the Hahn's house is.
Hahn's house is the second on the left across the street there.
Yes. This is the side-facing door of the house on the corner. I've also placed a placard at the stoop of the door. That was to depict and mark the red blood-like stains on the outside of the door. Again, it's a little difficult to see, but there are yellow little flags that I've marked where I found red blood-like stains going around that front yard landscaping area.
Down rainwater.
It is. I'd also placed flags on the roadway instead of in the roadway, again, just to mark red blood-like stains that continued over into this yard. And the flags pick up in the yard. Stains continued from around the side of the yard to in front of the home. Again, these lights are depicting other red blood stains I found on the roadway. This is standing in the driveway of the Hahn's residence, outside of the side-facing kitchen door. These are red blood-like stains that you can see on the outside of the door jamb, on the door jamb, and on the interior walls.
So when you go into this door, if you turn right, what room are we looking at?
If you step in the door and turn to your right, there's the dining room.
To the left.
Is the rest of the kitchen. Red blood-like stains were observed here and on the siding of the house as well. This is the interior of that side kitchen floor entryway. And this is just red blood-like stains that were observed down the siding of the home. Standing with the dining room at your back, side-facing kitchen doors to the left, and looking in towards the kitchen. Again, there's red blood-like stains on the wall, on the floor. I observed it on the trash can, dog food bowls. This is looking towards the north side of the kitchen. This is the interior side of that side kitchen door. And you can see there's, again, red blood-like stains on the inside, on the interior edge, and then on the exterior of that door. This is standing in the kitchen, looking towards the eating area and the living room beyond. This is how I found the crime scene. I have only added my evidence placards to depict areas of interest at this point. Again, there's red blood-like stains on the Whole Foods bag, the wall, dog bowl, the floor. There were 3 large poolings of blood that I marked as 9, 10, and 11 on that side of the table. 15 is showing the location of a knife. Also, we found the chair on the south side of the dining table, knocked over on top of a purse when we came in. And there's red blood-like stains on pantry door, the floor, on the wall next to the trash can, on the trash can, and again following towards that side kitchen door, which is beyond the refrigerator. And this is now looking into the dining room. There was a baby gate that was knocked over in that doorway. This is still the kitchen area on the other side of the dining table, near where the living room and the hallway is. There's a backpack on a stool in the living room area. Blood-like stains on the wall and on the floor of that area of the kitchen. This light-colored piece there is what I believe to be a piece of the baby gate that was separating the kitchen and the hallway.
We haven't seen that baby gate yet in this.
We have not, no.
This video.
Work found on the dining table. The master bedroom. I noticed there's a pair of shoes on the floor and some clothing on the bed. This is this was
Thank you, Agent Johnson. Agent Johnson, did you take photographs of the inside, the outside of the Hahn residence and in the neighborhood as well?
I did.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Agent Johnson, let me show you what's marked as States Exhibit 107, 108, 109, and 110. Collectively, these four exhibits, States 107 through 110. Do you recognize what's depicted in these four exhibits?
I do. These are photographs, some of the photographs that I took of the exterior scene during this investigation.
And are they generally concentrating on the corner house of Tillwood Place and Rainwater?
Yes.
Are these four photos fairly accurately depict the scene as it existed when you photographed it that night, April 22nd, 2013?
Yes.
Do they help illustrate your testimony?
Yes.
And I'm just telling the state with altered states exhibit 107, 108, 109, and 110 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
They're allowed for illustrative purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. May the state publish these on the TV?
Yes, sir.
We'll start with states exhibit 107. What are we looking at in this still photo, please, Agent Johnson?
This is Rainwater Drive is coming this way. The Hahn's residence is beyond this house on the corner here. And you can see some of those tea lights that I put out for that secondary trail of red light stains.
And close to the shrubbery at the corner, if you can see, there's a fire hydrant in the yard there. It's been identified as the Harold's residence at 6641 Tilbriar. There appears to be some bag or trash there. What is that, if you know, if I'm correct?
Yes. It was what I call EMS debris, things that the EMS had left on scene in biohazard bags after they departed.
All right, let's go to State's Exhibit 109. What are you looking at here in State's 109, please?
The house on the corner of Rainwater and Tealbriar, and Tealwood. This is that side-facing door. So if you're standing outside of this door, the Hahn's residence is right next door to the left. This is just a close-up of that particular door from outside, wherein I found red blood-like stains.
And correct me, on the video, is there a placard that's like at the stoop of this door on that video you pointed out?
There is. I had no way of putting the placard next to the actual stain, so I just put it at the foot of the door.
Is the stain that you were trying to depict in this State's Exhibit 109, can you point to us what stain or stains you're talking about?
It appeared to me that this particular stain here and up there as well were consistent with a partial palm print and fingers.
It's on the outside of the door,
It is.
and red blood-like stains was your opinion.
Yes.
Let's go now to State's Exhibit 108, please. What are we looking at here, State's Exhibit 108?
This is standing on Rainwater Drive, looking at that house that's on the corner. Again, you can see some of the yellow flags that I've placed on the roadway here. There's additional flags on the sidewalk and going up into the yard in front of this house and around their landscaping around to the side of the house. So this is a front view of that house. The side-facing door that we were just looking at is located on this side of that house.
Did you ever go up the front step? There's lots of steps up to that front door in State's 108. Isn't that correct?
I don't recall if I did or not. I don't believe so.
Okay. You don't believe you ever went all the way up the steps to the front door of that residence?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Let's go to State's Exhibit 110, please. And tell us what State's 110 is depicting, please.
This would be standing on the side of the Harrell's yard. The house at the intersection we were just discussing is right across the street. The intersection of Rainwater, Tealwood, and Tealbriar is right here. And you can see yellow flags that I'm using to depict red blood-like stains coming around the yard, across the sidewalk, across the street. And I've stuck another flag in this portion of the yard. Placard number 3 was used to depict a red blood-like stain at that area.
All right. you have a variety of photos to show. Let's talk about States Exhibit 27. What's depicted in States Exhibit 27?
This is a photograph of the exterior of Mr. Broyhill's vehicle taken from the driver's side of the vehicle.
All right, and then States Exhibit 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. States Exhibit 28 through 35. Generally, do you know what these photographs depict?
I do.
Okay, can you just tell us generally what collectively all those depict?
These are photographs that I took inside the Hahn's residence.
Basically the kitchen area?
Yeah, beginning in the kitchen area, yes.
With all these photographs, States Exhibit 27 through 35, do these fairly and accurately depict the scenes as filmed on the Monday evening in question?
Yes,
Will they help illustrate your testimony?
yes.
The state would offer into evidence States Exhibit 27 through 35.
Any objection?
No objection.
They are allowed for illustrative purposes.
Thank you, John. Will the state now publish these photos on the TV?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll start with State Exhibit 27. Do you recall observing you took hundreds of pictures, is that correct?
Yes.
In the driveway, on top of the hood of the BMW, the second car in the driveway, do you recall noticing or seeing anything on the hood?
There was.
What did you see?
There was change and a few pieces of cash on top of the hood of the second vehicle.
Any items, anything else out there around that area in the yard that you recall?
There were red blood-like stains throughout this driveway area, but also in the front yard, there was a pair of shoes.
Let's go to States Exhibit 28, please. Tell us what we're looking at, please.
This is standing in the dining room area near the entryway where it meets the kitchen. You can see the portion of a baby gate right here. Again, this is looking towards that side-facing kitchen door. You can see the door is open. There were red blood-like stains observed on the interior side of the door, the interior edge of the door, on the outside portion of this door. You can also see red blood-like stains inside door frame, door jamb, on this wall here near the thermostat. And it's a little bit difficult because the hardwood floors in this house are very dark, but there's also red blood-like stains on the floor as well.
Let's go to States Exhibit 29, please.
This is standing with the side-facing door directly to your left, looking into the kitchen. Again, there's red blood-like stains on the wall here. You can see a little bit on top of the trash can as well.
On the trash can?
Yes, and it's again difficult to see with this dark-colored floor, but there are red blood-like stains observed throughout the floor as well in the kitchen.
States Exhibit 30.
This is just stepping forward into the kitchen more. I observed that there was a butcher's block on top of the kitchen counter near that rear-facing window. The knives had black handles with 3 silver-colored dots on each side of the handle.
Nothing noteworthy, particularly in States Exhibit 30.
No, sir.
States Exhibit 31.
This is standing next to that counter that has the window and the butcher's block, looking towards, this is beyond, into the dining room, so the side-facing door is right here. Again, you can see red blood-like stains on the trash can, on the walls, on the wall here. There's some on the Whole Foods bag as well. And again, on the floor. It's difficult to see in this photograph, but you can see some of the dining chairs and that the south chair is knocked over.
Looking at State's Exhibit 31, to the right, you're looking into what room?
This is the side-facing entryway of the kitchen, and this is the dining room beyond that. You can see the baby gate on the floor in the distance.
If you were to go in the dining room and go into the dining room and go left, where does that take you?
If you continue into the dining room and around the dining table in the dining room, you'll come to the foyer area, which has the staircase leading up to the second floor.
And the front door?
And the front door, yes.
In State's Exhibit 31, if you were on the left side there where the kitchen chair's knocked over, if you were to go past that chair, where is that taking you?
The hard floor continued into a short hallway that led directly to the front door. The living room was directly located to this small eat-in kitchen area to the left, and if you go down that short hallway towards the front door, to the left of that area is an office area.
And is one of the doors to the office area actually depicted in State's Exhibit 31 there?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the door frame going from the living room area into the office area, which is, again, next to the kitchen.
Let's go to State's Exhibit 32, please.
This is standing near the counters in the kitchen, looking towards that eat-in dining table. You can see red blood-like stains over by where the kitchen area meets the living room, depicted by placard number 14. Placard number 8 is depicting the red blood-like stains in this area here. You can see that the south chair is knocked over. It's on top of a purse. There's also a pair of glasses right here. This, which would be the west chair, is a little bit askew. You can see 3 areas of pooling of red blood-like stains that I've marked as 11, 10, and 9. Located at the northwest corner of this table, between 9 and 10, there is a knife on the floor. This arrow was used to depict a partial footwear impression in red blood-like stains. These are double doors leading to the backyard.
They were closed, secured.
Yes.
You were there. The glasses on the floor on the corner right, did you make any notations of any stains or red blood-like stains on the glasses lens?
I did.
What did you note?
That there were red blood-like stains on the glasses lens.
All right. Okay. And then maybe closer detail for you. State's Exhibit 33.
Okay. So these are the doors leading to the backyard right here. So you're standing with those doors next to your right. You're standing with the table to your left, looking back towards that kitchen area, and the side-facing kitchen door is way over here. This is primarily just kind of focusing on placard number 15, where there's a knife, and placard number 9, where there's a pooling of red blood-like stains. These arrows here, there's 5 of them, depicting partial footwear impressions in red blood-like stains that were on the floor. If I recall correctly, I had labeled them as A, B, C, D, E.
Coming from the general location of the what appears to be a blood-like stain, placard number 9, that general area to the kitchen door.
I did not analyze them to determine from where those red blood-like stains came.
Let's see, State Exhibit 34.
Okay, so this is standing at the edge of the kitchen counter. This is the table over here. Again, those doors leading to the backyard. Again, just showing the spatial relation between pooling at 9, at 10, and 11. And there's a knife on the floor at placard 15.
And by the 2 rear doors on the left side of this, there appears to be blood-like stains splatter against the wall, the baseboards there. I don't know if you can see it that well.
Yes, there. I did observe during my investigation that there was red blood-like stains that were consistent with spatter near the baseboard. You can see some. It's difficult in this picture, but you can see some along the bottom of this door, along the baseboard. If you were to imagine the side of this cupboard that faces towards the living room, there's also some on the side of that counter, and there's some here on the corner as well.
And that would be depicted as State Exhibit 33, the other side view that we just saw. Does that sound
yes.
right? Mm-hmm. All right, let's look at State's Exhibit 35, please. Can you give us the perspective of what we're looking at here?
Mm-hmm. So the kitchen entry is to the left here around. So this is kitchen. We're standing with the hallway towards the front door to your back. This is the living room area, and these are the doors that lead to the backyard. You can see that in the dining table area that the south chair is knocked over. You can see that it's on top of a purse here. There's that pair of glasses. This west chair is a little bit askew. You can see that there's paperwork and other miscellaneous items on top of the table itself. Placard number 13 was actually to be used to depict red blood-like stains that were on this wall here, where there's also a pantry door. Picture doesn't show enough of that wall, but 12 was, I believe, used to depict red blood-like stains that were on the table itself. And 8, again, red blood-like stains that were on the floor. And in the living room here, there were, I believe, 2 bar stools, kind of where this opening is. And on top of this one here, you can see there's a backpack.
Okay. Now approach the witness.
Yes, sir.
So that last exhibit was State's Exhibit 35. Let me pick back up. State's Exhibit 36 through 41. Can you look at those exhibits and tell me if you recognize what's depicted in those exhibits generally?
Yep.
What are depicted, please, in State's Exhibit 36 through 41, collectively?
The interior of the residence, primarily that side kitchen area near the living room and the hallway leading to the front door.
All right. So these exhibits, State's Exhibit 36 through 41, inclusive, fairly and accurately depict the scene as you photographed it that evening?
Yes.
Do they help illustrate your testimony here today?
Yes.
The state would offer evidence. State's Exhibit 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41.
No objection. They're allowed for illustrative purposes.
State's Exhibit 106, do you recognize what's depicted in State's Exhibit 106?
I do.
What's depicted in State's Exhibit 106?
This is standing in the corner of the dining room with the foyer and the front door to your back looking into the dining room.
All right. And then picking up with State's Exhibit 42, 43, 44. Do you recognize those 3 exhibits?
Yes.
What are depicted in those 3 exhibits?
Portions of the dining room and the office area.
All right. State's Exhibit 42, 43, and 44, these fairly and accurately depict the scene as they existed that you photographed at the Hahn residence that evening?
Yes.
Will they help illustrate your testimony?
Yes.
Now the state would move into evidence State Exhibit 106, State Exhibit 42, 43, and 44.
Any objection? No objection. They are allowed for illustrative purposes.
.36, please. Tell us what we're looking at in State Exhibit 36, please.
This is standing in the kitchen area with the hall leading to the front door to your back, and the living room is to the right. The doors leading to the backyard, and the kitchen dining table again are in front of you. The rest of the kitchen is up and to the left. In this photograph, I wanted to depict the red blood-like stains that were in the kitchen area and then also in the living room area, depicted by placard number 14. Again, the south chair of the dining table is knocked over on top of a purse. There's a pair of glasses on the floor as well. You can see a little bit of placard number 8, which is depicting some red blood-like stains on the floor. Excuse me. Placard number 13, as I mentioned a little while ago, was used to depict red blood-like stains that were on this pantry door wall, but I put the placard on the floor because I couldn't attach it to the wall. Also, this long item right there, it appeared to be part of a damaged baby gate that, upon examining the baby gate that was located in the hallway between the hallway and this portion of the dining room, the baby gate had been damaged and it appeared to be consistent with that piece.
Let me ask you something. Between what hallway and you just said dining room?
I'm sorry, the dining table.
Are we talking about a
Right.
baby gate that is depicted later, maybe in this hallway from the vantage point of the photographer?
Yes, there are two baby gates that I will be referring to. There's one that's located in the dining room, between the dining room and the side kitchen door entryway. And then there was also a baby gate located in the front foyer hallway, which is to your back at this point, and this portion of the kitchen. And this damaged, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. This damaged
This-
piece of the baby gate comes from which baby gate, from your observations?
This piece was consistent with a damaged baby gate that was located in the foyer hallway kitchen area.
Right.
Yes.
Let's look. And this is looking from the hallway into the kitchen, right? That's the vantage point here.
Yes.
Let's take another vantage point with State's Exhibit 37.
Okay. I'm standing in the living room at this point, looking back into the kitchen. You can see this is that partition separating wall between the living room and the kitchen. The office would be located behind me, as well as the foyer front hallway. Here's the pantry door that I had mentioned earlier. You can see red blood-like stains on the door itself, red blood-like stains on the wall, again depicted by placard number 13. This piece of appeared to be the damaged baby gate. Again, you can see the south chair is knocked over on top of the purse. You can see a little bit more difficult in the background. You can see some of those yellow arrows that I was used to depict partial footwear impressions in red blood-like stains on the floor. You can see a little bit of placard number 15, placard number 12.
All right, let's take a different vantage point. State's Exhibit 38, please.
This is standing in the living room, looking towards, you can see the kitchen in the background. There's that partitioned separating wall. If you follow this hardwood around, that's going to take you to that front foyer hallway. And then the office is located to the left of the living room at this vantage point. There are red blood-like stains on the floor here. You can see them again in the kitchen area on the wall. Piece of the baby gate. There's a backpack on one of the two bar stools.
Let's look at State's Exhibit 39, please.
Okay. So the living room is to my left at this point. If you look in this area, you can look through the living room office doorway and into the office. So that window is in the front of the house in the office.
That's the front corner of the house.
Yes.
Okay.
So my back is next to the rear doors going into the backyard in the kitchen area near this is the kitchen dining table, if you will.
How about the kitchen table? Sound good?
Okay.
Versus the dining table?
Sure, yes,
Dining.
kitchen table's great. Again, there's red blood-like stains that are on the kitchen floor as well as the living room floor. I recall seeing red blood-like stains on the little slats for the metal vent on the wall that night. Now you can see the baby gate in the foyer hallway between the kitchen and the front door area. And these are the stairs leading to the second floor.
State's Exhibit 39. Let's look at State's Exhibit 40.
Okay, at this point, the front door is directly to my back, looking down the front foyer hallway into where the kitchen is. Directly from here to the right is the office area. Directly to the left is the formal dining room. In this photograph, you can see the baby gate on the floor. There's also a few personal items on top of the bookcase, and you can see the kitchen table and the doors leading to the backyard in the background.
Is that close to standing at the front door looking straight down the hallway to the back of the house? Is that basically that vantage point?
It is.
Let's look at State's Exhibit 41, please.
This is in that front foyer area. The front door is to my left, so I'm looking in towards the formal dining room area, and the office is to my back. To my right is the rest of the foyer hallway where the baby gate was located, and then the kitchen beyond that. Again, these are the stairs leading to the second floor. There was a nice end table located here with what I call a hurricane vase on top of the table, other personal knickknacks and photo frames, and a collage on the wall. There were, I observed red blood-like stains on the floor of this foyer area, and also, right in this area, you can see where there's red blood-like stains on the wall. There were some observed on the collage itself and on the hurricane vase that evening.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll show you State's Exhibit 41, the actual still physical exhibit. Do you see, could you circle generally where you're talking about in the foyer where you saw red blood-like stains? On any, you mentioned a wall and collage. And do you actually see where you circled some of the stains?
Yes.
In actual State's Exhibit 41?
Yes.
All right. Now, let's look at State's Exhibit 106. 106 is next. tell us what we're looking at here on State's Exhibit 106, please.
At this point, I've stepped into the formal dining room area. So the foyer is to my back, and I'm looking west into the dining room. So the front yard is to the left. This is the front of the house here. If you follow this around, the floor around here, and around this large dining table, you'll come where that side-facing kitchen door entryway is, near the fridge and where the entry door is. In this room, this photograph was taken with the lights in the dining room off and the blinds were open. I took it as I found this particular room. Upon closer examination, we did find red blood-like stains on the wall here, again on the floor and on this far wall as well. West wall.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
There are varying degrees of quality between the published exhibit and the real exhibit. Is that correct?
Yes.
So let me show you State Exhibit 106. Could you circle if you see on either of the walls what the, as you've testified to, the red blood-like stains? And I know you said you're seeing them on the hardwood floors as well, correct?
Yes.
In State's Exhibit 106, could you circle if you see evidence of the red blood-like stains on any of the walls? And let's go, the last photo, I think, of perspective of the dining room is State's Exhibit 42. Tell us about State's Exhibit 42, please.
This is standing in the side kitchen entryway. So the side kitchen entry door is immediately to my right, with the rest of the kitchen behind me, and this is looking into the dining room. The previous picture was taken from this corner, looking that way. Again, this is just showing from the vantage point from that side kitchen door into the dining room. You can see red blood-like stain on the side of the wall right there.
Is the red blood-like stains on the bottom corner of State's 42, which is part of the wall, not the border of the photo also? If you know.
This, yeah, we would have seen those in some of the previous photos earlier, but yes, those were also red blood-like stains.
Two more questions as to this exhibit. Do you see just to orient people more, I think you call it a hurricane vase. Do you see that in that photo in the doorway in State's Exhibit 42?
Yes. So this doorway is going into that foyer area where the front door is. There is an end table here with the collage. You can see the edge of the collage's frame on the wall right there. I'm trying to not cover it up with my finger. And then this is that hurricane vase that I was talking about previously.
Right. And last question. The red blood-like stains you've circled on the two different walls, and you've mentioned on the floor. Tell us if any other observations of red blood-like stains, a trail in this room, on any other items, and on what floors are we talking about?
It's difficult to see in this photograph and the previous one, but this chair at the head or foot of this table was slightly askew when I arrived on scene, and I did see red blood-like stains on that chair. And I'm sorry about the floor.
On the floor, any on the, if I were to walk to the front foyer, I could go left, I could go right. Tell me about that.
The red blood-like stains that we found came from the direction of the foyer area around this south front-facing wall. So the front yard's right through these windows, and then along the side of this dining table, which the driveway would be directly on the outside wall of that. So from here, front yard, driveway on those walls that I spoke of earlier, and then also on the floor.
On the floor on both outer walls?
I don't believe so.
No, I'm sorry, I might have been confusing. On the floor as to the outer front-facing wall, there seems to be red light stains on the floor.
Yes, along.
Okay, and then if you turn right, you're against the outer wall going now towards to the kitchen entry on that floor.
Yes, on the wall and the floor of the south wall of the dining room, and on the floor and the wall of the west wall going towards the kitchen.
Now approach the witness.
Yes.
Any red blood light stains on this on the floor on the interior wall coming to the kitchen?
I don't recall so.
Okay. Stop.
Yes, sir. We're going to break for lunch this time. We'll resume at 2:30 this afternoon. So while on recess, ladies and gentlemen, please recall the instructions I've given you. Don't talk among yourselves or with anyone else about the case. Don't form or express opinions about the outcome. No media or independent investigation regarding these matters. Please have no conversation with parties, witnesses, or lawyers. Gather in the deliberation room at 2:30, and please leave your notepads in your chairs. Everyone else, please remain seated while the jurors excuse themselves.